Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you the tools you'll need to assemble your cabinets, install hinging for your doors, and drawer slides. You're going to need an air compressor and a hose. And then what are you going to use for a fastener? You got a couple choices. Staple gun with 1-inch staples, or a brad nailer with 1-inch brads. I prefer a staple gun, but if you feel more comfortable with a brad gun, then by all means, go ahead and use that. Okay, glue. You're gonna need a good wood glue. You can see I prefer Titebond. I buy in 5-gallon buckets, and then I fill up my small glue bottles as we need. You're going to need a bucket of clean water and a rag. And what this is for, you'll see in the videos, when I put all the cabinets together, I look at them. At the end, I stand them up, and you'll see glue squeezes out into the interior. All the interiors are pre-finished, so don't worry about it when you see glue squeezing out. That's what the rag's for, damp rag. Go in, wipe it out. If you want to get nice and tight into the corners, take a 5-in-1, wrap it around the rag, and that'll help you get nice and tight into any corners. Okay, that's the fasteners and the glue. Next thing you're going to need is a rubber mallet. And what this is for is to tap all your sides, tops, and bottoms in. You're tapping the splines down into the grooves, and this works better than a hammer and a block of wood. You'll see in my videos, I use a block of wood. And what this is for, if my frame was laying here, I would put this block of wood up against the frame, whether it's top or bottom, and I make it tight to the frame, and then as I set my sides in, this helps me get them lined up pretty close. So that's what the block of wood's for. Some more hand tools. When you do shoot your fasteners, there's always that chance till you get the hang of it, you can shoot one out. If you do, no problem. You can either cut the leg off that comes out into the inside or to the outside, and then use a hammer and a nail set and tap it up through and pull that out. If you pull it out, you should reshoot another one at the correct angle so that you have a fastener there. If it barely come out, you could set it, use a little putty, whatever you decide to touch it up. I'm not going to tell you how to fix it, but just one way or another, whether you take it out the whole way or tap it in, put a little putty in it. So that's what the hammer, nail set, and diagonal cutters are for. 1/2-inch chisel in the sides where the groove is that you glue. You'll see me using a 1/2-inch chisel to clean any finish, stain, paint, whatever out of that groove. So that's what the 1/2-inch chisel is for. Okay, that concludes that. As far as you'll need a drill with assorted bits, and you're going to need another bit. It's a self-centering bit, and what this is for is in drawer slides and hinging, they're pre-punched or pre-drilled. And a self-centering bit has a little flange around the drill bit, and as you put that into the pre-drilled hole and push, the drill bit comes out and drills dead center of that hole, so you drilled it in the correct position. So must have a self-centering bit. As far as running screws in, I don't like using drills to run screws in. You can strip them out real easy. I like an impact gun. So just keep that in mind. That's what I prefer. it'll save you a lot of grief if you do strip a screw up. Sanding block. What this is for is, just say your cabinets come in, you don't mess with them for a couple weeks. It's in a humid area. The male dovetails might swell up a little bit. And when you go to put them into the female, you can't get them in and you're forcing them. You can't do that, you're gonna damage some. So a sanding block. I use this a hell of a lot here. I have a table saw that I can set up and even touch up the male dovetails, but most of the time a sanding block, real quick, just hit the edges of the dovetail, try it again, and it'll go right in prior to gluing. Always check them. So that's what you need a sanding block for. Tape measure. You're just measuring cabinets and doors and drawer frames, checking sizes. You don't need no monster 25, 30 foot bulky tape. 12, 16 foot tape will work just fine. Framing square and a pencil. You'll see me in the videos on any unfinished sides. I pre-mark the back side of any female dovetail, and again, it's on unfinished sides, and I'll put a pencil mark, and that way, once they're together, I take my staple gun and I just go right up that line. You're gonna shoot perfect every time. You're not gonna take the chance of shooting a staple out of the outside of the cabinet or into the interior. So take an extra few minutes, mark all your unfinished sides. Soft blanket. I have a bunch of fleece blankets here. Cover my workbench. That way when you set a frame on here, you're not sliding it around, scuffing. I keep my benches clean, but you know, there's always that chance a little piece of dirt or a piece of metal from out of a screw box or something, and that'll scratch your frame. So cover it with a nice soft blanket. That's what that's for. As you can see, I have a big workbench to work off of. You don't have a big workbench, not a big deal. Set of sawhorses, sheet of plywood. You can't use real flimsy plywood. You need a good heavy sheet of plywood to build them. But so you don't need a big workbench like I have. As far as clamps, I have a lot of I-beam clamps there that we use, all different lengths. Most homeowners don't have I-beam clamps. If you do, use them. But there's squeeze clamps is what most homeowners would be used to using, or most homeowners have them to do a little bit of carpentry work. They come in different lengths too. So this is not a big one, but I'm just using it as an example. Also, they come with like a rubber pad on so that you don't scuff up, in this case, a front frame. But from over the years of using them, they get scuffed up, little nicks in them, so maybe some hard glue. So I always recommend a clean piece of plywood, a scrap block of plywood. If you was gonna clamp a front frame, I use the I-beam clamps or squeeze clamps for clamping any flush sides on a finished cabinet. And again, what the block is for, if this was your frame, good faces down, I would put a clean piece of plywood up against the frame and then my clamp. That way you don't take any chances of scratching, denting. All that is going to cause you a lot of grief and headaches if you damage your front frame. So just try to keep in mind, always put something between your clamp and your front frame, or whatever it is that you know, you're clamping. And again, if you don't understand something or have any questions, my number's on my website. Just call me. I can talk to you, walk you through it, whatever it takes. So that about wraps up this video. And again, any questions, just give me a call.